Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Hiya Toys release as we've got the SKULLCRAWLER. We did have a version of a SKULLCRAWLER previously, but now we have this new version with some updates and brand new paintwork and stuff like that. The box art is really cool. Of course, it shows off a super nice image there of the SKULLCRAWLER and then the Godzilla X Kong logo. Here on the side of the box, you've got a really cool shot of the figure. Again, the Godzilla X Kong logo. On the other side, pretty much the same thing, just a different image. And then here on the back, again, the logo, as well as some more shots of the figure. So let's pop this box open and check out the newest version of this creature. So here is our new SKULLCRAWLER, and it looks really cool, actually. My camera clearly is not positioned right. I had kind of an idea of where it would be when I sat it down. I apparently missed it by a mile. Well, not by a mile, but I missed it. There's also a different tongue, which is pretty cool. You can change out the tongue to have this different looking version, which is definitely a nice addition to the figure. But without a doubt, I can say that I like this one better than the other one because I think the colors are just so much cooler looking and in general are just a little bit more, I mean, I guess for a very unnatural creature, a little more natural. They don't look so much like actual paintwork. It looks more like body color, which is a plus. The other one looked pretty good too, but I just feel like specifically in the face, like that was one area where you can very clearly see it was just like paintwork applied, whereas this one looks more like body color. And I feel like Hiya is continuing to improve constantly, especially when it comes to their paint apps. After taking a look at the recent Shimo and everything, I've been very impressed. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our SKULLCRAWLER, you can see for the most part, I believe the head sculpt looks pretty similar to the last one. I don't notice any massive differences on it. I definitely notice that there is difference when it comes to the way that the neck looks, and the articulation of the neck is a little bit different from the older one. But when it comes to the sculpting and detailing of the head, it looks pretty similar to me. There is some nice variation of color as you have some like kind of like mustardy colors here. Moving back, the eye looks really nice. I love the way it's painted with a light gray and then a black pupil. It also has a nice gloss coat, but the figure overall kind of has a little bit of a satin shine to it. The detailing is fantastic and looks incredible. The detail is super vibrant on the figure, which is a massive plus. I also really quite like the fact that we have like a reddish wash kind of showing up here on the top of the pink areas, at least back here. Definitely a really nice touch to that area. The articulation is also super smooth, which I've noticed, and as you can see, if you open just by the lower jaw, the upper jaw also opens and articulates, but it is extremely, extremely smooth. The inside of the mouth is almost entirely different, I would say, from the other version. We can see the tongue right there, and again, the paintwork of the tongue looks really good. The fine detail in here is insane. It is really, really nice looking. You've got some variation of color on the inside of the mouth on the upper side as well. The other one had kind of like almost like rubber where you squish it down. This time we now have it switched out so it's a solid piece, which is pretty nice. Actually, I do have the other one over here. I'm just going to bring it in. I was just going to use it for a comparison later, but if we open the mouths of the two, you can see that the mouths and the way they look and everything are quite different between the two. Same deal, of course, for the inside of the mouth. Like the tongue now has the ability to be pulled out and changed for the other tongue. And even the way that the mouth looks moving back looks a little different on the newer one. I don't know if the upper side is really all that different. Kind of. A little bit different. Not exactly the same, but not that different. So definitely some obvious differences there. Again, the head sculpts did look kind of different, and I don't know for sure if they did switch them up, but they kind of look the same at the same time. It's hard to tell when it comes to the paintwork being so different from each other. But as you move back, you do, of course, also have really nice neck articulation, which can go left and right. Definitely give you some nice posability for the figure. It actually feels a little stiff right there for some reason, but you can move the head up and down really nicely down. Wow, look at that. That's pretty impressive. But also can go up and again, also left and right, which is pretty nice. It does seem a little jerky though. I don't remember if the other one had that going on. So the other one definitely feels a little smoother when it comes to the neck articulation actually. but didn't have quite the range of movement. Like, that's now looking down for the older one. So it definitely has a little bit more range of movement in the newer one, but it's a little bit harder at times to articulate. So you can see the differences between the two different figures as far as the neck articulation goes right there. As you move back, you can see we do have like some yellows and more of that kind of like pinkish tone moving over the back, as well as some nice grayish tones and brownish tones as you move down through the course of the figure. Again, that really nice satin shine, that nice gloss coat that it has, kind of gives the figure almost a little bit of a creepy look when it comes to the paintwork and everything, which I do really quite like. Moving back into the legs of our Skullcrawler, you do of course have more articulation like you had last time. I don't know if there's anything too different as far as the articulation goes between the two, but you can see that the paintwork is definitely quite different. We have again a mixture of like, looks like a maybe pinkish tones and grayish tones. Kind of looks like there's like a pink wash that's been applied to the leg as you move through. But the detail is super, super crisp as you lead down. You've got some nice kind of pinkish tones down here in the toes as well. And then the nails, again, have a nice genuine sharp look to them, but also have some nice variation of color with like some grays and browns out there, like light browns. The articulation, again, super, super smooth, forward and back right there, as well as out away from the body. You can see that there's also a swivel area right there, so it allows even more posability. Then you've got the elbow right here, which can go forward and back. Also, that super cool spike on the back of the elbow looks really neat, and again, I love that kind of like reddish or pinkish tone that they have to that as well. I also like that it starts with a darker tone and transitions smoothly to that lighter tone, but then as you move down, you again have the wrist articulation, or ankle, I don't know what you would call that, but it moves nicely forward and back, also can swivel, so you've got quite a bit of mobility and range of movement for that area leading through. As you move back into the body, you again have almost like the look of vertebrae moving along the top of the figure. Again, the very impressive fine detail. You've also got an area right here which looks to be potentially super stiff currently. There we go. We kind of have it moving a little bit, definitely a little stiff right there. So you have some nice range of movement in that spot. Again, a little bit more right here, a little smoother right there, and then one more spot right there, which can swivel, move up, down, left, and right, wiggle a little bit, which again allows you some posability for the body of the figure. Also up and down, again, a little bit. The same type of detail leading through, the same type of skin texture. You can also see that we have a mixture of different variations of colors down here on the undersides and even on the undersides of the feet, which looks really nice and quite realistic as a whole. I think they did a really good job of painting the underside of the figure, and you can see more of the pinkish tones and stuff picking up as you lead out into the tail. And then once you do lead out into the tail, of course, we return basically to the grayish tones, but we also have a wire tail, which now allows even more posability. And then you have a little bit more of those pinkish tones as you lead out here toward the ending of the tail, basically running along the sides of the figure. But again, it's not super different from the older one, but there are definitely some different updates and different variation to this figure compared to the original one. Now, I don't think we really need measurements or size comparisons or anything when it comes to this one outside of the comparison of these two together, because even though I have to reposition it, they are pretty much the exact same size. You can see, again, they don't really differ when it comes to the size. Even if we put them next to each other, you can see they are the same length, they're the same height, like there's no real difference. And since we have already reviewed the original version and we've taken a look at all of those aspects as far as like comparisons and sizes and stuff, with the original version, there's no real need, I would say, to go ahead and do that again with the new version here, but as you can see, they do look super cool next to each other. So this brand new Hiya Toys Godzilla vs. Kong Skullcrawler is a really cool figure, and without a doubt my favorite version of this one so far. The neck articulation is a little bit wonky in certain areas, but I do appreciate the range of movement in that area, especially as far as looking down. I think that's a really nice touch for the figure. The fine detail is extremely crisp on this, maybe even more crisp than the older one was. It also has, in my opinion, nicer paintwork because it has a lot more that's been added to it, and it's also a lot smoother than the older one. The older one did look really good, but for some reason, I think the paintwork looks cooler on the newer version. And of course, does retain all of the articulation and maybe even a little bit more so than the older one, especially when it comes to like the neck being able to pose downward further. But again, really smooth articulation. I've noticed on the newest round of Hiya Toys figures like the Shimo and now this one that the articulation seems even smoother than it used to be, which is a huge plus for these figures. So without a doubt, a figure, in my opinion, worth adding to any Godzilla collection or Kong collection. So make sure, if you are interested, that you head on over to Amazon.com or Big Bad Toy Store, somewhere like that. Grab this. I ordered mine from Amazon. I actually forgot completely that I had it pre-ordered, and it randomly went through, so was pretty excited to see this one showing up, and definitely happy to now add it to my collection. So check the links in the description, grab it if you want it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.